All right, fabulous. Thank you guys for jumping in today. You guys all know me. I'm Ash. Got Shannon from Property Assist joining us. But one thing that I wanted to start, so Shannon and I have done this we've done a couple of sessions and in the last 12 months, and it's very, very different, the discussions we've been having. But what I just wanted to share first was that I've got this private like WhatsApp group, and just recently we've had people in there talk about sort of how many properties a property manager manages. My least favorite question ever. But what we did in the group is we got everyone's sort of records with what their team was doing, and it also included the outsourcing and VAs and leasing people and all of that. And we sort of summarized it all. And I just wanted to share it because I thought that it was really quite good to share, because it's really hard to compare apples for apples when everyone's setup and support network is a little bit different. But I've just got it here, what it ended up being is that if you have a PM only structure, just with end to end, then the capacity was 120 to 150. If you have a property manager and a VA, it was about 150 to 200. If you have a PM and a VA and a leasing consultant, it was around 180 to 220. But if you have a PM, a VA, and your outsourced inspections, whether that's done internally or externally, but you've got that inspection support, it actually jumped from 220 to 300. So when I put that data into ChatGPT, it says that the data confirms that inspection support is the single biggest capacity multiplier, not the VAs. The VAs help with admin, but inspections consume huge blocks of times. And once inspections leave the property management role, portfolios jump in excess 60 to 120 properties. So I thought that that was probably just a good baseline. That was, like I said, that was based on actual data from the WhatsApp group with exactly what's outsourcing and everything like that. And then ChatGPT turned it into that summary. So I thought that that was quite good. And I feel like that's quite true, because the first step we always go down is having offshore admin and having that admin support. And if you think about it, is it really creating capacity? Is it helpful? Absolutely, 100%. Is it doing things that you don't normally do, like following up insurance with the contractors and things like that? Absolutely. But those things are not something that the property manager was probably spending a lot of time on anyway. It's so important, but it's not actually, it wasn't taking them up time in their role because they probably weren't doing it anyway. So that's the way I sort of see, I guess, the VA. So you absolutely needed, but not creating that capacity that we think it should. And then when we sort of look at the leasing side of things, again, most people next might go, well, we're going to bring in a leasing consultant to help. But that can also go in waves. Like, that's not consistent. You've got busy months, you've got low months. To maintain that with a leasing consultant, I think would be quite hard. I don't want to put down any leasing consultants, but you're either working, you might have 30 properties available for rent one month, but you might only have 5 the next month. So very hard to manage the time and
The consistency of the role isn't there.
yeah. But then we look at inspections. It's like, well, that is consistent. Like, that is like foolproof, consistent. You know that there is going to be this many inspections. So that ChatGPT to me makes total sense in that how it's creating capacity. Now, I think, Shannon, you and I had always probably worked with, remember that multiple that I've used in previous sessions, where you've got, for every hour that a property manager works, they should be able to manage between 3 and 5 properties. So we used to work on about 50 properties that the portfolio should be able to handle extra if they have outsourced routines, but that has suggested 60 to 120. So I think that that's maybe something interesting to look at as well. But what are your thoughts sort of on that?
Yeah, I think it's good that you got that data from the WhatsApp group. I think it's nice to get it from real world data, I guess, and current, because I know sometimes we can see these surveys and stuff go out, and they're done so broadly, but which is great as well, obviously, and they have a place. But yeah, it was interesting to see. And that just sort of flagged, I'm sure we'll go through it later, the calculator that I have. It kind of really solidifies the fact of being able to increase those portfolio sizes with that calculator. And it just shows you right there that it's XYZ sort of thing. So it does. Yeah, it all makes sense.
Yeah, excellent. So if you haven't yet and you're here, if you can just pop in the state that you're in through the Q&A or the chat, whichever one works, that would be amazing. And I would ideally like today's session to be a little bit more interactive. So if anyone's got a question about that that they can put through when I'm asking questions, but I'd love to sort of hear like what has made you curious to jump on today? What is the one thing that's like you're hesitant about? Like be pretty honest with it and put them through to the Q&A so we can just have a talk about those questions that might come up. But I've got some questions. I'm going to start off with Shan.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one is, at what point should an agency seriously consider outsourcing inspections, and what are the early warning signs that they might need to start progressing with it?
Yeah, so I guess it is different for everyone, and everyone sort of decides to outsource at different points. I like to give an example of the sales rep that started his own property management arm to his business, and he did it fairly early on. I think he got to like 20, 30 properties, and he was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm not the right person to do it. So he outsourced from that point straight away to us. And then obviously he got to, I think it was 1 to 120 properties. And then he hired a property manager. And at that point, she was really experienced, and she was like, you know what, I need to see these properties, so I'll go through and do them myself. Now they've grown again and they outsource again. So, and she's seen all the properties, she's comfortable with them. She might do the first inspection and then outsource the rest. But I guess there's no like written rule. I think it's just to work out when you're in that growth phase and utilizing us or outsourcing at that point. And then if you're not in a growth phase, or you've got extra resources within your business or people bums on seats, then utilize those until you're doing that growth phase again. I think the points to look at it is, if you're getting to the end of the month and you've got 20 inspections outstanding and you're like, how the hell am I going to get those done? We'll just push them to the next month. That's probably one of the bigger drivers. I know that happened in your business a couple of years ago, Ash. You saw there was like a big chunk of inspections that just weren't done. And if you're not looking at that, they really can go under the radar, but you've got to think of that from a, profit perspective in your business. If you're pushing that can down the road, you shouldn't be. You should really, obviously we are a bit different here in Perth. I think majority of our attendees today are in Perth, but we do charge for these inspections. If you're not charging them in that month, why not, So I think that's probably a big driver, but also depending on what you've got on in your portfolio that month, if you've got 10 vacates, ask for support elsewhere. If you want to control those vacates and you want to keep those under, internally, so that you're doing them properly, you're managing those expectations from those owners really well, outsource the things that may be able to be looked at from a different perspective and ensure that they're done right, obviously, and just read through those reports when they come back. And that saves you the time of spending half a day or, a whole day, a couple of times a week on the road. You've got that time and that energy to put into those finals and give those expectations back to the landlord that they're expecting from you, sort of thing. So I guess it, like you say as well, with that leasing role, it comes and goes. There's 30 available one month and not the next. And it's the same with PM. We could have 10 people vacating and then none the next. I know as we do come into Easter as well, we do get busier. I think we forget every year. I think we all think it's like just before Christmas. I think we forget that Easter gets really busy as well. So we've all got more time to move, right? So tenants want to move, or they think, okay, I'll find another property again. So from our point of view, just before Christmas and just before Easter is our biggest months to prepare for.
And also there's just so many public holidays at the start of the year, which means less contact time in the office, and all of that as well. So that can definitely be a factor.
Less time to do the inspections, less time to get into the properties. Exactly. Yeah.
Correct. The what sort of gets me sort of thinking, and I've always learned so much from chatting with you as well. And it's actually, this is what's going through my brain while we've got internally some shuffling with property managers that have finished up with us and then just deciding what to do. What I always come back to is with a portfolio, you should know ideally what is required in an ideal month. So for example, if you've got, let's just say, I'm just throwing these figures out, they might not be correct, but let's just say you've got a portfolio of 150 properties. That means on average, every month you should be doing around, let's call it 30 inspections per month. Okay, so you know that your ideal month is 30 inspections per month, and generally your capacity also allows for, let's say, 4 finals per month and maybe 4 ingoings. Okay, so that's like, and whatever your ideal is for your portfolio, maybe those that are listening can have a think about what their ideal month is. So anything over that, then just outsource, because otherwise this is where we get those fluctuations. We have, like you said, those real busy months, then something else has to give. And then we feel like we're constantly playing catch up. But if you're like, no, my role allows for 30 routines, it allows for 4 inspections and 4 ingoings and 4 outgoings. So I have a look at my month and see what have I got. Now there's going to be a surplus. Let's say it's a really, like you said, really busy month and there is 10 finals to do. Okay, so that means that this month I'm going to outsource 6 of them, and maybe I've got 5 PCRs, so I'm going to outsource 1 of them, probably outsource my biggest one because that's going to be the easiest one. And then maybe I've got 35 routines, so I'm going to outsource 5. So you're keeping true to what the capacity is and what you should be able to handle so that you can create a consistent role for you. And then just any of the surplus, don't feel like you've got to take it on, because like I said, you take that extra on, then something's going to give. Now, if there were things that maybe finals or PCRs that were right at the end of the month and you could get away with carrying them over to the following month, the first week of the following month, fine. But that's how I would be, that's what I would be suggesting if you wanted to be really serious with maintaining your portfolio consistently. That's how I would do it. So, and it's not how I'm doing it, but as you were talking about it, I was like, that's a really good habit for PMs to get into the habit of.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, so with that, it's great. I was talking to a property manager the other day who I think she spent 2 or 3 days in a week in court that week. And she said to me, she's like, I love doing my own inspections. And I was like, how can you do them if you're in court for 3 days of 1 week? And she's like, yeah, I couldn't those days. I was like, that's just crazy to me. You know, she's like, I think I'm going to have to outsource. I was like, yeah, maybe just for that week. Yeah. And that's where you don't expect court and things like that to pop up as well. So I guess it's just working out what the capacity is that week. And then, letting go if you need to, essentially, to keep sane. Yeah,
absolutely. The next question that let's just touch into the different ways. So you referenced a small agency that used it for growth, and that in between. So you don't have enough to bring on a full-time property manager, but you need someone, but it's really hard to find someone who wants to start off part-time and go full-time. So that's really great. So that's like a smaller size agency setup, which would be really ideal. Can you tell us about like where a agency of around like 300 to 500, where would they benefit the most from outsourcing? Would it be ingoings or routines? What would that look like?
Yeah, I think, again, it depends on the property manager that you've got in the position of what they want to do as well. So obviously we do, our biggest thing here is PCRs, our ingoings. So a lot of the time when they're getting to that 300-400, that's kind of the given that they do outsource those ingoings. and obviously with the software and stuff that we've got available now with Inspection Express and the AI, it does make things a lot quicker. So they're able to kind of get to that point by doing it internally. And then from there, they are potentially managing that rent roll with one other or their VA. So that's where that time out of the office does become, less. So they do need to outsource. I would say that they probably use outsourcing for routines a couple of times a year, not every time that they need to do the inspections, but maybe it's twice a year, or when someone goes on leave and they need obviously that reprieve. Obviously the same with your portfolio size, Ash, or like what you have been at, that was always the way that you sort of rolled it, was just at reprieve, needing to give people to catch up on everything else. It's always been that way for you guys, which I think is great. And there's no expectation that the property manager expects them to always be done for them. They're still getting through the properties, so it's kind of turning it off and on whenever you need it. I know before the end of the year you kind of put it out to your team and was like, all right, let's just, if you want a hand, let's give you a hand. But you might not do that until the middle of the year next year again, so they can jump on it when they need. In terms of a bigger portfolio, so say up to sort of that 3,000, 5,000, we work alongside their inspection team. So normally they've got their own internal inspection team where they might have 5 to 10 inspectors on their team. In an agency office, it's a very high turnover role, because they can see the property managers in the office, and they do struggle to kind of keep those inspectors in those roles for long enough. So we're there just as backup. We might do 100 inspections one month, and then we might do 200 the next month for them. So we're just sort of there to take on that surplus, I guess, like we were sort of saying before, but from their team's point of view. Or if they have someone calling sick, with a team of 10, that can happen almost daily, right? So they'll call us that morning and go, oh my God, someone's sick again, like, can you do these for us? So there's really no right or wrong way. And I think that's the beauty of outsourcing, with the way that we've set our businesses, is that it can be per report, and it's when you need, essentially. It doesn't have to be all the time. There is definitely teams out there that we've done their inspections for the last 5 years, and they will only go through if they need to, or if there's something, or then they see them at the final inspection. So and that's a few different size companies. From, I'm just thinking now, we've got a couple of clients that are like 200, and then we've got some that are just under 2,000 that do that, but they don't have an internal inspector, so they utilize us for that, and that's how they like to go. So I guess it's not really like a one size fits all, but it's the different ways that people can use it.
And I think that was one of the biggest things that I wanted people to take away, was that you don't have to like go, we need to make a business decision and this is what we're doing moving forward. And like, I know, I'm sure you'd love 100% commitment, but, but from, but I'd like, I still want to be pretty real to say, well, no, you can actually just have it as a bit of a partnership with your business and use it as you need. And I think that comes down to the question that I've got when it comes to the value that different agencies will have with regards to outsourcing. So for me, the value, if I'm honest, I have no idea what the numbers look like if I was to look at how much we recover for routine inspections versus how much we pay out. Like, I don't actually know. Maybe at some stage when I can be bothered, I'll do a bit of an audit just so I know where it's at. But for me, that's not where the value is. The value for me is keeping my team happy, keeping their lives stress-free, and helping prevent burnout for them. So for me, you can't really put a value on that. So that's why I'm not as concerned by the budgeting, I guess, of it.
Yeah.
So for us, that myself and Marissa were both away in December. So we thought that would be a good opportunity to outsource for December, or give the team the opportunity to outsource in December, because we're not there. And, we might, which means that when there's little issues that come up with the property managers and their clients, we're not there to help sort it out. So therefore they might be spending more time, and everyone's a bit antsy before Christmas, and
Yeah.
it always happens. So it was like, that was a really good move for us. And that actually worked very, very well, to the point that we'll probably do that again this year. But I don't want to create complacency with the team and get them used to it either. So for me, I am really funny on, expectations. I don't want it to be an expectation. I want people to see that this is a bonus. This is it's me doing a favor in a way, but that's like it's a bit of a perk where if I was to bring it in full time, which I'm sure you would love if I did, it wouldn't be seen as a perk. And that's where I'm sitting with it. But then, like, for example, I've had property managers that have had a lot going on personally, and I don't think it's a great thing for them to go out and do routines. So I would say to them, listen, I'm going to give you a month off routine so that you can just, if you need to sit at home and cry all day, you can do that. You don't have to worry about going out. So that gives them a little bit of respite, that they don't have that pressure. And like, I've got one PM who's got plantar fasciitis and is, in a lot of pain when she's walking. So she actually opted not to. I don't think she outsourced in, oh no, maybe she did. Anyway, there was some sort of like deal that we did where she covered something for me, and then we outsourced her routines for the month. So she didn't have that.
Yeah.
So it's sort of things like that. And I feel like your team appreciate it a lot more, don't take advantage of it. And I just feel like they see that as, like I said, as a perk of working with us. Because it's very easy for it just to roll into an expectation, and something else comes up, and
it's a way of showing support and being very clear that that's what the support is that you can give your team when the support's required. I think if you fully embedded it in, and then they need support, it's like, okay, it's going to be something else that we're giving support to, right? So I do. And I understand that obviously the cost side of it is definitely important as well. I was talking to one of our clients only just the other day at the trade show. We were talking about the cost of the ingoings, and she was saying that she doesn't even know, essentially, like what you were just saying, you don't know whether we're here or there, but at the end of the day, I mean, PCRs are slightly different. You might, and everyone charges differently, right? But she has a set charge. Say she charges $300 for a PCR. Sometimes we will send an invoice through and it'll be a 1-by-1, so it'll be a lot less than that. It'll be $180, and then the next time, the same charges on your MAs, obviously, but it might be a 5-by-2, and then the invoice will come through at, closer to that $350 sort of thing. So I think as well, you might be surprised when you do look at the figures. Obviously, routines are probably very standardized, or you've got some on old fees and the rest of them have come up since then. So, but yeah, it's the same way to sort of look at it, that hopefully it kind of levels out at the end of it.
Yeah, and we probably, as business owners, or even if you are not a business owner and you're a property manager, I think that you should take a look so that you understand what the numbers look like. And I'm actually just doing an advertising audit for our marketing at the moment to see if we're capturing enough, because I don't think we're capturing enough in advertising fees than what we are spending. Because realestate.com's gone up, over the last couple of years, and we haven't updated anything. So I am doing that, and I'll probably go on and do an audit of our routine inspections, not for anything more than seeing whether do I need to be increasing them for the clients. But if I could, like, for me, the way that I see it is, if I could get that cost neutral, like with our intermittent outsourcing plus the cost of it, and then work out whether routine inspections is an income driving part of the department, and not that I want it to be necessarily income driving, or maybe I should, but I'm not really that concerned because I know that that's going to add that capacity on. So
Yeah.
I think that when we are doing budgeting and stuff, if we should really get into the habit of doing little internal audits. And if you've got a VA, you could probably ask the VA to do that type of audit for you, just to sort of really see where you're at and then make decisions on it. But like I said, I think everyone sees them as a different point of view. I see it more for the value of it for the team, which I don't put a price on. But if someone else wants to work it out as a cost value, then yeah, just doing that order. I don't think people really do that enough. So
No.
they probably should.
Yeah.
Now, if anyone's got any questions, please just put them in that Q&A. But I was just going to share and I think I fixed up that chat as well, if anyone has anything to put in that chat. And then what I'm going to do is quickly just share, Shan, that calculator that we do each time, which is a really good one
Yeah.
you created. So if anyone wants to do this with Shan, you can email her or just message one of us or just DM her on Instagram. And that is this spreadsheet, which is really cool. So basically, do you want to talk through it? You're probably better talking through it than me.
Yeah. So we did this as like a case study. When talking to obviously different clients that were quite price driven. Obviously I'm selling a service, right? It's got to be worth it. So I needed to, really understand this myself and really show it to our clients, which was great. So if you've got a portfolio of, let's say the top one, so 100, do you want to do 100 or what do you reckon, Ash? Do you reckon 150 is better based on who we've got in here?
No, 100 is probably okay.
Yeah, so say you've got a portfolio of 100 and you're wanting to increase that to 150, and being able to do that, you're looking at outsourcing your inspections for the whole portfolio. Okay, so we've got, say, an average weekly rent of $850. Is that what? I don't even know what we're at now.
Oh, it might be a little bit high. I don't know, Will, if it lets, I don't know if I think
it'll
if
let
I
you.
can change it. It might not give me
I think it does. Just type it in. It should.
I might not have saying I've got to I'll sign in. I'll see if I can quickly sign in. Oh, yeah, maybe I have. Okay, all right. So I might just change that to 700.
Okay. So 700 a week, say your management fees are 8%. Obviously it shows your weekly fee per property, your annual fee per property, your new properties added, right? So now you've added an extra 50 properties onto that portfolio. Your new annual income from those properties is 36,000. Okay. So you've got the total of 150 properties now on the portfolio, and we can change that as well, Ash. So say we want to do, the next one with the routines per year.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at 4 for now, just to say you're outsourcing them all. So the total inspections for the year is going to be 600 inspections that you need to do on that portfolio for the year. Your outsourcing cost per inspection, we charge $68. And then your total cost for outsourcing is $40,800. So your net business benefit on that portfolio by adding 50 properties to that portfolio and outsourcing every inspection that year is $95,000. So I think that's where, when we put this together and we really show you those figures, it does make a lot of sense to a lot of people. You can reduce that routine inspections a year, say, to 2 properties, or 2 inspections a year.
Let's do the next line, like with the 2 here. So you're going from 200 to 250, average of 600, 7%. So this is probably like maybe in Eastern States.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just start my screen. And then you're adding the 50, and then in just 2 inspections per year.
Yep. You've got a total of 500, and you're adding a $75,000 value to your portfolio for that one portfolio, but you're outsourcing every second inspection in there.
So what's really good to know is that that is just basing it on management fee, and that's not taking into account that you might be also receiving inspection fees
as
to
well.
combat that, to reduce that, or to increase it, sorry. But it also means that you're keeping a really tidy portfolio, aren't you, by doing it? And it's that awkwardness. So then you might be, okay, I'm going to outsource. My goal is 300 properties, say, or maybe it is 250 properties. So I'm going to outsource between 200 and 250. That's still, I can handle it. I'm outsourcing my routines. If you give any property manager the choice of either 200 or 250 with outsourcing routines, I can guarantee you just about, I reckon everyone, 9 out of 10 will say, take those inspections off me. And that is actually going to be a better financial position for the for the business. And then when you get to 250, like you said, you might then go, okay, well, we're now going to find a property manager, and they're going to take on that portfolio of 50 and then grow it to 100. And then when we get to that 100, we're going to, outsource again to 150, and you just repeat that cycle constantly.
Yeah.
Such a good calculator. People, I don't think, look at it from that point of view. Like, they don't calculate how
much an extra 50 properties can add to the portfolio. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you think, even break it down even further, you've got 50 properties. I mean, I would say, like, I'm just trying to, and maybe this is a calculation I've got to try and work out next, but let's say, like, for our office, we've got 1,200 properties. I would probably say to you that there is probably, I want to say, less than 20 properties that are headaches, like really difficult, you know what I mean? So people might sort of go on and say, oh, 50 properties, 50 more headaches. Well, it's actually not. So let me just look at the calculation. If I was to say 20 properties divided by 1,200, so times 100, so 1.6, let's just round it to 2%. 2% of your portfolio is going to be a headache. So really, of those 50 properties, you're talking about one of them being a bit of a headache and 49 being easy to look after with no problems.
Yeah.
It's not bad. So therefore, the property manager is not really going to probably notice the difference of going another 50 properties, but I can tell from a maintenance and a rent collection point of view, but they're absolutely going to feel the difference without having to do any of their routines.
On-road work is the killer. Yeah.
Maybe that's the stat that I need to put in the WhatsApp group now.
Yeah, true.
What number of headache tenancies do you have on your portfolio versus the size, and see if we can work that out, because 50 properties is only 1 or 2 headaches.
Yeah. I love that.
So maybe we'll work on that one next. Now, does anyone have any questions that they want to? I know that there's a few regulars in here, so it's great that they're back, because they're.
Hopefully they've taken something else away.
Yeah, well, our conversation always changes
it's different,
a little bit, doesn't it? And I think that that's really good. So I'll just give it a couple more minutes to see if anyone's got any questions before we finish up. But ultimately, what I would probably say to go away is to go out and have a look, not do a budget if you want to have a look at what the true situation is of routine inspections in your portfolio. Number 2, I would say to you, have a look at what capacity would look like if you were to outsource your routines and save that much time. What would that look like with a portfolio? And how long would you have to do it? Like, I would need, I would outsource to this many, this portfolio size, and then have to bring anyone in. Have a look at what a plan, 1, 2, 3 stage plan would look like. And then I would have also, just probably the third thing I would say is have a little think about how do you feel from a value point of view? Are you wanting to outsource for your team respite, or are you wanting to outsource for financial reasons? Or are you, I mean, they're probably the two.
I think as well, Ash, what I wanted to say, I like with your team how um, you run it as a give and take. So, like that month that you were saying, you outsourced her routine inspections, but she did something else for you for probably another portfolio, I'm assuming. And
Yes.
I think people forget about that integration that we should try and have with our teams. Obviously, that's our culture, that's a whole other topic, right? But that is, I think, what it doesn't necessarily have to be just for that portfolio and then that's it. And that's the system that you're going to do for that portfolio. Yeah, I feel like if you can try and give and take with your property managers through the team, that's where you could potentially see the value as well.
Yeah. So I accidentally pressed some buttons, guys. Sorry, Sharon, Melissa, and Matt. I've like somehow put you on there. I didn't mean to do that, but we're nearly finished. But yes, so how that looked was that we had a staff member who was away, I think, on leave for about 4 weeks. And so what Val did is she said, I'll look after that portfolio while she's on leave if I can outsource my inspections. So what that meant for me is that I didn't have to have anyone else filling in that portfolio. I didn't have to get a temp in for that portfolio. I didn't have to have the phone diverted to me, which is always like the option as well. And she covered that portfolio because she was fine in the office. You know what I mean? She was fine doing the emails and the phone calls if she didn't have to do routines. So that was actually a really good point to mention. That's how that worked in our office. I mean, it was her
How big
suggestion,
was,
not mine, so I can't say that I thought of that, but
yeah, how big were the portfolio sizes, like hers and the other person's?
so she has, I think, 135, and then Lisa's portfolio is 140. So that was 270 that she was handling for
Yeah,
emails and phone calls, and she didn't bat an eyelid to that. So,
yeah,
like I said, most property managers are very much like if you give them the option, like handle phone calls and emails or go out and do half your work. I mean, I know me
yeah,
personally, I'd be happy
yeah.
sitting at the desk on my computer, not having to really talk to anyone, and then go out and do routines.
Yeah, and I think it does, like we said originally as well, it comes down to timing. So, like that December period, as most of us know, or we've just been reminded of, I feel like every owner under the sun wants to get all their maintenance done just before Christmas. So, you find yourself so overloaded in the office, getting back to things, getting quotes done, trying to get contractors there. We don't have contractors available, so it takes too long, and then they get upset that things aren't done. And sort of that end of year close off. So again, it's that timing and kind of working out those ebbs and flows through the year and when it may be a better option to offer that to staff to allow them to feel like they're on top of things rather than being overwhelmed, especially before Christmas. Every year I say it, we are all headless chooks by like the first week of December. It's crazy. And I feel like every year we don't learn, but it's all part of it. But again, it's just remembering that support is there and utilizing it. I think we had a couple of questions.
Yeah, maintenance is a big time consuming thing at the moment that people need to really do pay a lot more attention on. So one of the questions that came through, it only came through for you and me, Shen, but it was we'll
Okay.
definitely be putting together a few plans and putting it forward to management. We have through to management. We only have two property managers, and one of them is me. I'm doing BDM, so having the one PM with the majority of the portfolios, and me a small portfolio and doing BDM makes so much sense, but it's hard to find qualified PMs. Might need to look at taking on someone that has just got their registration and train them into the PM role with a small portfolio. So I think when you can get to a portfolio of around 50 properties, that's a really good time to actually have a property manager come in and handle the 50 properties. Very hard if you were to recruit and start someone off only on 20 properties. It will be quite a while to build that. But if you can get someone, so when you get to, so outsource till you get that portfolio to 50, or even maybe 60, and then get in a PM to look after that as that rinse and repeat. But that would be my advice with that.
Yeah, and definitely the staffing is so hard. I just want to say I feel it too. It is so hard. So, yeah, you're not alone. I know it's so hard to find property managers, even experienced property managers, or just property managers with 1 or 2 years experience. It's just as hard to find, new people wanting to start in the industry, and which is what we like to do, and we support them and train them up so that hopefully after they've done a few inspections or a few months to a year with us, they can then move into those property management roles, and it's not so heavy on you guys having to teach them everything. So,
and I think you're very supportive of that as well. I know that you've had people in your team before, like you're fully understanding that they might be using this as a base to get into the career. And I know that I'm sure that you do, not now that you know their personalities and stuff like that, you can probably say, hey, reach out to this person, reach out to that person. So I think that that's really good. Like from a human point of view, it's really nice that you understand and support them getting into that assistant PM role when they're ready as well. It's just a cycle.
100%. And I think, I guess that's like it again, like it's a whole other topic, is the culture, but we support that inspector role and that job role so well. That's why we've been able to create our team and hold our team for, as long as we have. And I know that role in an agency, it's not as easy to create that support, because they do see the property managers in the office doing all these fun things, and it's hard. And I've spoken to other of our clients that have those large inspection teams. I talk to them all the time and suggest different things, because they do see the changeover so quickly. And I know in my business, I don't have that dangling carrot, obviously, right in front of their face. But what I can say is, if you are wanting to internally create your own inspection team, there's got to be so much support and guidance and hand holding through that experience. And I think that's where it's hard having that time and energy in an agency at that junior role. And so that's why they find that sort of turnover. But exactly that. Like, we had a couple of staff last week that reached out and they're like, I think I'm ready now, Shan. Like, I think I want to get in. And I'll call around. Or we always get clients saying, do you have anyone that might be interested in stepping up? Obviously, they've come from an inspector's background, but we've all got to start somewhere, right? So if there are people, then we push it. I know we're not going to be inspectors forever, although I have had people for, like, I've got a girl now who's been with me for 4 years, so she loves it. But she's like, no way, I don't want to get my head into that.
Culture is a really big thing, actually. If I was to look at if I have any turnover in my team, the turnover has generally nearly always been with people that have a very outside non-office role, and they just, and because I don't force people to come into the office, it is and they choose not to, they choose to work more from home or whatever. It's very, very hard. They're the ones that do tend to rotate a lot more in our office, because they just don't have that same support, and culture is such a big piece. And I don't want to be that person that makes you come into the office 3 times a week, but I do notice a difference.
It's where your team chats and things like that is a big, well, that's how we survive, I say. And it's encouraging the chat through there and making you feel like you're not alone. Like, our inspectors see so much every day, and some things are hilarious, some things are not so great, but having that's I guess a smaller thing that you can easily implement. But I get it, and you're not the only one with that out of office. Like I said, there's larger teams that it's exactly the same, and they're forever recruiting for that role. Because it's just such a high turnover, or they don't have the ability for them to step up quick enough. And I think that's where they then find something else. I was that person. I wanted more every time I, stepped the ladder through property management, and you go find it, don't you? So you can't blame them. But
Amazing. So when will this come through? I think starting as an inspection agent is the best place to start for a beginner PM. Yeah. Now, who was I speaking to? Oh no, that was to do with, maybe it was to, oh no, it was at the next conference in Queensland. Not sure if there's anyone from Queensland here. And do you know what? Actually, this is really worth mentioning because this, I actually went, oh my God, you are so right. It was Bo Miller that said it. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
love Bo Miller. She said to me, or she said to the group, that when we are onboarding new people, we tend to put them in a false sense of security. So we put them in inspections and leasing and, very gentle with the way they go. And then what happens is when they've got to deal with the big boy stuff, they all of a sudden get very, very overwhelmed. She recommends that juniors actually start with final inspections. And
Yeah.
I thought to myself, what a really interesting
Because
mindset
they,
shift.
yeah,
So that they
they,
have to deal with the hard stuff straight up with the difficult conversations because she said everything else is easy, Ash. She goes, inspections, leasing, all of that's easy. But you know very, very quickly whether they're going to last if they have to deal with the tough stuff first, as
yeah.
opposed to, being gentle in the first 3 months and then wondering why they don't stay with you. That
Yeah.
was a really good mindset shift for me.
Yeah, I think to be fair in saying that, our finals is one of the things that I consistently find that I'm explaining and over explaining with our team and explaining, okay, we say it this way because it's been written this way on the report. Now we have to document it this way because this could equal that action or this could equal that outcome for that landlord or that tenant. There's so much more that you can
Moving
learn
parts. Yeah.
from a final than just a routine inspection. Obviously, you get the same thing with routines. If you don't document this mark, then this could happen. But because it's such a quick, I guess, like you're in and out of the property, you're just documenting what you see, that sort of thing. The final, there's an outcome that comes from it. So yeah, it does make sense. And I'm just thinking now how much we do in terms of like training and processes and stuff around it. That's why,
We
because there's
gentle
so much more.
parent, and then we try and put these boundaries in place down the track and give them the hard stuff, and it makes sense. But I've never thought of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So send them to court on their first day. Then you know if you're going to keep her or not.
Would
No,
never have
we're not.
anyone.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate it. And I
Thank
do love
you.
how the conversations always are a little bit different each time we jump on as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
the replay I'll make available for anyone. So as well, if you want to share it with anyone in your team, then you can. And also if you need Shannon to actually work out a calculation with you, just reach out to Shannon or myself. I mean, she can do a one-on-one with you. I can do one together and we can actually go, okay, let's look at the way that you're currently set up and what you're trying to achieve. And both of us will be very happy to sit and work out maybe a bit of a plan of what the outsourcing would look like, whether it's temporary or permanent as well. So do just reach out if that's going to be helpful for you. But thank you for your time. Go enjoy your week, everyone. And I will speak to you all soon.
Thank you guys. See ya.